Millionaire Jerry Seinfeld has some harsh words for people that don't want to live in New York City, which is funny. He's going to be all right. $950 million net worth for Mr. Seinfeld. And he's got some tough words for people that want to get away from the heavy taxes and all of the craziness going on. I think I'm probably not the only one that's been paying attention to what's going on in cities right now. It's definitely not somewhere that I would want to be for a lot of reasons. New York City, though, is getting really, really hit. There's a lot of stuff going on. People are fleeing New York City, and they're not coming back, is what a lot of people are saying. I mean, you don't really need to. There's a lot of reasons for why this is going on. Number one big one to me is the fact that a lot of people are working remotely at home now. You don't need to be in New York City. You don't need to have an apartment in New York City anymore. You can go live anywhere and work. It doesn't matter. So why would you pay $3,500 a month for a one-bedroom apartment in downtown New York City? I think that's what the average was if you wanted to live in Manhattan. I could be wrong. You have to fact check me. I was watching a report on this the other day. Why would you want to pay that when you could go live in Tennessee, for example, or something, and pay a couple $100 for a place that's probably a lot nicer, to be honest? I don't think you're paying for, the best. That's probably not even the best place in New York, $3,500. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to get out. I mean, you're not tied to a job that you need to be at anymore, so you can go anywhere. Plus all the unrest. I mean, they show some pictures in this article here about some of the stuff going on there. There was the mayor. He moved a bunch of homeless people and addicts into really nice neighborhood hotels. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Plus the taxes alone. So a lot of people are just getting out. They don't like the unrest. I personally am not a fan of not having law enforcement, trying to get rid of those. And then the riots and stuff, I wouldn't want to be there. Jerry Seinfeld says that, though, hey, I get it. You're a wuss. You want to move out? Tough New Yorkers will rebuild it. Will they, though? I think a lot of these companies are just going to they're just not going to move the business back and let people keep moving and living at home and working. Also, from what I understand, one of the bigger parts of the New York economy, or New York City economy, is real estate, rentals. There's a lot of vacant apartments in Manhattan right now. That's not good. A lot of businesses are also leaving. This is what got Jerry Seinfeld to pen his op-ed, where he said those wailing and whimpering that NYC is dead to get a grip, because it'll sure as hell bounce back despite COVID shutdowns, escalating crime, and homelessness. There's a lot else too. I was reading a report the other day about the food lines. So you have these food banks. They're usually, I want to say, not ran by. Usually, it's a church that runs a food bank. Is a good example. Like a church will have a place where people, if they're hurting, can come get free food. I saw one. There was a line. It was a quarter mile long of people. It's getting pretty bad in New York City. I think Jerry's just desperately trying to help, but the way he penned it was kind of smug, which, a lot of these people kind of are. They think that they're better than you. Mr. Millionaire here, he's going to be all right no matter what happens in New York City. I urge you, on a little side note here, to look into this yourself. Just Google New York City, look it up on YouTube, and see for yourself what's going on. I mean, I don't need to sit here to explain it. It's not hard to find mainstream outlets talking about it. A lot of people are leaving. Like their taxes, their tax revenue is running out. All of the really rich people have left, except Jerry, who, by the way, has a house in the Hamptons, just like all the other rich people. So he says he's not going to abandon New York City. How much you want to bet he penned this opinion piece in his house in the Hamptons? How much you want to bet he does? He wasn't in his overlooking Central Park apartment. He was probably writing this at his house in the Hamptons. Good old celebrity. Tuning in to let the dumb old commoners know exactly what they should be doing. Now, the reason he wrote his opinion piece was because a hedge fund entrepreneur who owns a comedy club that he's worked in left to go live, I think, in Florida. He moved to Miami, I believe, took his family to Miami area, and this got Jerry pissed off, basically. So Jerry Seinfeld has told the people who are wailing and whimpering that New York City is dead to get a grip, because it will sure as hell bounce back as the city continues to grapple with the pandemic and escalating crime and homelessness. In a scathing op-ed in the New York Times on Monday, Seinfeld, who has lived in NYC for 44 years, slammed those who have been fleeing the city in droves ever since the pandemic broke out in March. The comedian's comments were in a direct response to a viral blog post written earlier this month by NYC comedy club owner and hedge fund entrepreneur James Altucher. Altucher, who Seinfeld labeled a putz, declared the city dead and would never recover again as he fled with his family to Miami following the week of looting and riots that have plagued the city since June. In response to the claim that New York would never bounce back, Seinfeld insisted that it would because of tough New Yorkers who stayed behind to rebuild it. Seinfeld, who has an estimated net worth of $950 million, lives in an apartment overlooking Central Park on the West Upper Side and also has a sprawling waterfront mansion in the Hamptons that he purchased for $32 million from Billy Joel back in 2000. And then the rest of the article kind of goes over a lot of the stuff going on. Here's the deal, man. It's tough to say if New York or even a lot of cities will bounce back. It really is, because this is totally different than anything that's ever happened in history. And never in history have we been able to remotely work at home, right? This is a new time, and it's never really been pushed. And if there's one thing that everything that's been going on lately has shown us, is that people are capable of doing this. This is moving us forward in a big mass unemployment, more than likely, is one big thing. Because if you don't need an office, that's a lot of jobs that were required for the office that are going to be gone and probably eliminated. Companies probably save a lot more money doing it this way. And this means companies can move their offices out of New York City, by the way. You don't need to be in there and paying those taxes. So the headquarters that are there, they can move those out now, stuff like that. You don't really necessarily need to be in the city and its massive tax. And make no mistake, living in New York City, there's usually, I think most cities have something like that. You pay like a premium to live there, like some kind of extra tax for the city. I've never lived in a big city, so I'm not sure. I lived outside of one, but never in one. But from what I understand, you usually pay a little bit more. But you can't blame people for wanting to get out. It's very unsure what the future is for people that live in big cities. But, Mr. Millionaire, Jerry Seinfeld, rich celebrity that knows best and knows what you need to do. You need to listen to him, you peasant scum. While he writes his op-ed in his home in the Hamptons, where I'm almost positive he probably wrote this op-ed, he's quite safe. His politician buddy hits him up. Hey, could you call people idiots for us? Let him know tough New Yorkers will pull through. We'll see. We'll see. These are very different times that we live in right now. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But I can't stand celebrities when they want to pull this shit. You don't need to listen to Jerry Seinfeld. If you want to get out of cities, you probably should. You probably should. That little voice in your head telling you to get out of the city is probably right. It's probably right. Anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. I really would love to hear from New Yorkers. If you're in New York, please tell me, do you want to get out? How bad is it? Are things exaggerated? Is it really not that bad in New York? I'd like to hear from you guys. Really, if anybody in NYC or that's been to NYC lately wants to leave some comments and let me know how it is, I'd love to hear from you. Also, throw a like up, share the video, make sure you still subscribe. Subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.
It's over 9,000!